All right, let's just do this. I'm not stopping anymore. Right, this is the first video, so it's probably going to be shit, but anyway, it doesn't really matter, because this is as much to help myself as it is anyone else. I mean, if it helps anyone else along the way, then all the better. But really, I'm doing this for me, to help with my life, really, to get my life back on track. There's not going to be a lot of eye contact with the camera in this video, I don't think, because I'm just going to try and keep it raw. So if you're expecting all these fancy edits and stuff, then this isn't exactly probably the channel for you, because it's just going to be me talking to the camera, really. And I mean, I've got myself a list of shit that I want to talk about, because, you know, this is my first video, so, you know, I wanna make sure that I say what I wanted to say. So basically, my name's Alex. I'm 20, and for the past 12 years or so, I've lived with OCD, and then anorexia from the age of about 10 or 11. So up until the age of about 8, I was just, you know, a really happy young lad, living a normal life, really. Well, what is normal? But, you know, when I say normal, I mean nothing that I did was disordered at all, really. And then I began. It all started, really. I began having these irrational fears about the weather and clouds, and I don't know if there was dark clouds outside. I was too scared to go outside, because I you know, in case there was like thunder, I used to think that, like, I just had irrational fears of something dreadful happening if there was a dark cloud outside, and that went on for a couple of years. And then as that started to diminish, about the age of 11, I began my obsessions turned more to food and exercise, and I began controlling that. And I don't know, I was always a bit of a bigger framed child. I don't like to use the word fat, but I was always sort of on the larger side, and I sort of recognised that. And when I got to the age of about 11, I suppose, you know, you do start becoming more aware of how you look, and people start changing, you know, people going through puberty and growth spurts and all that. And I guess I'm quite an impatient person in nature. Like, if you know, if I set my mind on something, I want to do it. And I guess that's part of OCD as well. But so yeah, I wasn't happy in my body. I wanted to lose weight, to get fitter, and so that's what I did. And it started as something fairly innocent, which I think most mental health issues do really. I mean, especially eating disorders, I don't think people go out with the intent to want to, you know, kill themselves or, you know, cause serious harm to themselves. But, you know, once I started losing a bit of weight, I suppose people probably noticed, maybe began complimenting me more because of how I looked. Maybe I felt more accepted because I was slimmer, and then I guess, you know, I came to a healthy weight, but then where most people would say stop, I couldn't just say stop. So, you know, things kind of spiraled a bit out of control, and yeah, and then sort of I think it was my first year in high school, so year 7, I would have been about 11, just about to turn 12. So we're talking 8 or 9 years ago. I reached rock bottom, and was admitted to hospital with, you know, like a pulse below 40. So, you know, obviously not healthy at all. Very, very underweight, and very focused on exercise and restricting food. And, you know, I remember back to those times, it wasn't good at all. So I was admitted to a hospital where I went there with my mum, and that was just so that unit was about an hour and a quarter's drive from home. So I spent I think I was probably in there about 5 months in all. So that was pretty tough, but being in an inpatient unit, I think it's easier to cope with things, because you've got the support of nurses and things. And that, you know, it just provides a bit of comfort and stability, I suppose. So yeah, I spent about 5 months in that unit and gained the weight back that I needed to gain. And then I was discharged from there, and stayed out of hospital for probably another year, or possibly another year or 18 months or so. And then things began spiraling out of control again. My weight went back down very low, and, you know, I was back in a pretty bad position. So I went, I was admitted back into it was the unit was at the same location, so about an hour and a quarter's drive from home, but this time it was a specialist eating disorders unit, and I spent about another 4 months there. This time it was on my own, so I didn't have parents with me. And again, obviously, comforts of sort of knowing that you have to gain weight, and having all of the nurses and doctors and staff around to support you through every minute of every day in the recovery. You know, it makes it's, you know, obviously it's hard, but it makes it sort of doable more, you know. So I spent about 4 months there, and then was discharged again at a healthy weight range. Then went through that whole process again of being discharged back into the community. going on for so long, and then the same process again. Things deteriorated. All of these times when I was discharged back into the community, I was still having support from therapists, but obviously it's not 24/7. So, you know, there is time where you're on your own and you've got to fight it yourself. And that's where things can creep back in, I suppose, like, you know, bad habits to do with whatever you struggle with, eating, exercise. For me, it was always, the biggest problem was always exercise, you know, using it as a way to control my body weight and to lose weight. I felt I was using it as a like a punishment to my body, in a way to you know, earn the right to eat and to live, which is completely disordered. But, you know, at the time, that's what I felt I needed to do. So yeah, as I was saying, I was admitted into hospital again a third time, but this time it was a lot further away from home. So I was about 2.5 hours drive away from home, and this wasn't an eating disorders unit. And I saw some pretty shocking things, really, during that the time that I spent in that hospital, because as I say, it wasn't just eating disorders. There was a lot of different illnesses, which a lot of people with different sort of mental health issues, which were being treated in that unit. And to be quite honest, I don't really want to think back to some of the stuff that I saw there. Really, it was not really a nice experience. But I was then, the reason why I went there initially was because there was no space at the eating disorders unit at the time, and then I was eventually transferred to the eating disorders unit, which I'd been to the previous time, and spent another probably 3 months again there, gained the weight, and was discharged again back into the community, working with my psychologists and things, whilst living at home. So thankfully I haven't gone back into hospital since then. So I've been out of hospital probably about maybe 6 years, really. So quite a long time. But in that time, things haven't been perfect. They've been far from it. And in some ways, it's probably been harder than the times where I have been in hospital, because I haven't had the support of, you know, these professionals. I've had to do it, you know, on my own, with the help of my parents and family and friends, and, you know, and I've lost contact with a lot of friends due to all of the time that I've spent in and out of hospital. And, you know, that's something that I really regret, because, you know, it's only when you've sort of lost contact that you do really value the importance of friendships, and, you know, people just being there for you. You know, when you're in dark places, you sometimes just need someone to talk to, and the fact that I lost a lot of contact with friends sort of meant I didn't have that, and I only really had my family sort of to turn to when things were, you know, getting too much. But anyway, so as I say, the past 6 years I've been out of hospital. No, not 6 years. I don't even know. I've been out of hospital for several years, put it that way. And I haven't really moved on from where I was when I left hospital. I suppose I went to college. I finished school, and I got decent GCSEs, but I don't think they were anything near what I could have got if I hadn't have spent all that time in and out of school. So I got through my GCSEs. I got reasonable GCSEs, enough to get onto the next stage, and then I went to college, and I spent 2 years at college, and I studied sport, and I ended up with very good grades, actually, and the required grades which I needed to get onto university, which is what initially I had really wanted to do, to study sports therapy. So that's pretty much where I'm at the moment. I got that place to do sports therapy, but I decided to defer the start of the course for a year, because I didn't feel that I was in a. I felt after college I just needed a bit of a break and a chance to sort of wrap my head around everything, and just have a year to decide what I wanted to do, and whether everything felt right. And that was, to be honest, looking back now, it's probably the wrong decision to take that, to defer the course for a year, because then in that year I didn't have a focus, didn't have something, a distraction. College was a distraction, and once college finished and I didn't have a job or any commitment, it's sort of, my focus is literally been food, exercise, routines. Just that's literally what my life has essentially been for the last year or two, really. And I suppose in the past few, since about Christmas time, I think. So since the start of the year, turning 20, I've started to think, I'm not a kid now. I'm 20. I need to start moving on with my life. I need to figure out what I'm doing, where I want to go. I need to start doing things. My thought processes around everything has changed dramatically. Like, and up until around Christmas time, I didn't really want to. I didn't really accept that I still had a problem, and that I needed to make changes. But now I'm realizing that there is a problem, and that I need to start. I need to start making some changes and moving on with my life. So that's why I'm here today, starting up this, whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna say, starting up this, diary. Really, it's nothing more than a diary for me. I'm just, because I don't see a therapist now. I stopped seeing therapists a couple of years ago, because I felt I wasn't getting any more out of it. I'd exhausted that path, and really there was nothing more that a therapist could tell me. It's it's just down to me now. So so I'm sort of using this as my, almost as my sort of, I guess I could call it my therapy. Like, you know, I'm just, you know, someone to talk to. You know, even if no one watches it, if no one listens, it's just, you know, giving me some, you know, a platform to to you know, express myself, I suppose. God, I've rambled way too long. I'm probably gonna try and end it up here. I had much more that I wanted to say, but I just talk shit way too long. Yeah, basically, moving forward from here, I wanna talk more about just I don't think that there's enough out there for men who struggle with body image issues and mental health. I mean, there's lots of channels that I watch of females that are struggling with, you know, things that I am, and that's, you know, that's great, but I think it needs to be recognised that there's actually, you know, it does affect men as well. And I, you know, maybe if I can provide some, you know, if I can give some insight into sort of into the issues from a perspective of a man suffering, then you know, maybe I'll provide something that others perhaps aren't able to. I don't know, but yeah, I'm probably gonna, yeah, end it here. But as I say, I'm gonna be looking to post several videos a week. Really, I want. Yeah, I'm just gonna document my journey, really. See where it goes from here. This is the first video. I know it's, you know, it's not, you know, I'm all over the place, really. I'm, you know, nothing's sort of structured. I'm just giving you, just, it is what it is. So yeah, before I waffle anymore, I'll see you soon. All right.